like going against the best. I don't like just competing against easy matches. Obviously, if it's a good payday for an easy match, I'm not going to complain because it's always nice to go out there and get paid. But I just really enjoy the competition of going against the best to the best. So whenever I compete, I always seek to find the best guys. That's why I love fighting those guys like Damian Maia and Hendo and Lawler. That's just that's what I strive to do. Same with submission matches. When I'm doing the submission matches, I always ask for the best guys. I'm not asking to get thrown against someone easy. I'm like, who's the best guy you got? You throw against me.
That was Jake Shields. Welcome to episode 32 of the Vision Board Podcast. My name is Johnny Stofko. Sitting with me is Tristan Cannell. What's up, man?
G'day, Johnny.
How's everything going?
Really well. I'm actually really excited to see Jake.
Yeah,
you know more about the UFC than I do, but I do know about Jake Shields, so it's exciting to have him on.
Yeah, Jake is one of those names synonymous with mixed martial arts. He's actually getting ready for a no-gi tournament under the banner Polaris. I think it's in the United Kingdom, but he's won belts with all of his. He's fought in the UFC, he's fought in Strikeforce, he's fought in the cage with the best likes of George St. Pierre, Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, so Damian Maia, to name a few. So yeah. He's more seasoned than most people.
He definitely tests himself against the best, surrounds himself with the best member of the Scrap Pack. So just imagine training down there. I know that we're going to ask him a few questions about how it's like to train and be in that circle with such high profile, and not only high profile, high caliber.
Yeah, guys, if you're listening, the Scrap Pack, what Tristan just mentioned is Stockton, and that's Nate Diaz, the Diaz brothers. You got Gilbert Melendez, and you got Jake Shields, amongst others. And
Gracie.
They're Cesar Gracie black belts. These guys have been training together since their teens. So there's really a brotherhood there and a bond. And when you mix in the sport of MMA with all those other underlying factors, it's a really unique relationship. So we're excited to have Jake on. Talk to Jake about what drives him, what motivates him, and where he's at in his career and life.
Yeah, we'll pick his brain. It's always great to pick the brain of a champion, just see what he's at, because he's a vegetarian as well, so it'll be interesting to see his take on how he actually manages his fight and also his training, fight preparation and training as well, seeing that they need a fair bit of protein. I know what it's like just lifting every day. I can only imagine that he's training 3-4 hours a day and what he actually needs to put into his body. Yeah,
especially the education aspect of being in the fitness industry, dealing with countless questions about how do I get my protein, do I have to eat meat with every meal. We'll be able to ask Jake, the preparation, what it takes to set yourself up, after you train, after you fight, to have the energy to recover and, move on without that animal beef, animal proteins.
Definitely an interesting fella. Just a big shout out to all the fans out there, everyone that subscribed and left us 5-star reviews. Really appreciate it. We've done about 71 so far. So the goal before the next couple of months, we really want to get that up to 100. So guys, if you could just jump on. If you haven't done it so far, you're probably in front of your phone right now. Just hit that search button at the bottom. All you do is search the Vision Board Podcast. It should come up on the bottom left-hand corner. Select that, and there's a review section. Just hit that quickly. Leave us a review. Be honest as you want. Like, we want feedback that can be constructive and also make us help grow the show and make it better.
Yeah, Tristan, the review aspect, if you have the iPhone, that's the one that's going to be a little bit more difficult. If you have an Android, Samsung, anything other than an iPhone, all you really need is the SoundCloud app. You download the SoundCloud app, it's free, search the Vision Board Podcast, and literally just hit subscribe. And it's simple as that. And we throw that number out there, not necessarily as a popularity contest, but that's one of our goals. We call it the Vision Board Podcast because we started this as a vision, and it's one of those that's currently on our vision board. And guess what, guys? It solely depends on the support of you guys. So you guys helping us, we help you, share the knowledge, inspire. Everyone's working collectively together.
100% agree, man. Big shout out to Populous as well. Populous, we've connected Populous. They have a great brand. Boutique international management consulting company. They specialize pretty much in businesses that need to really transform to the next level of growth.
Yeah, Populous is a great company. We've got to have numerous side-by-side chats with the guys there, and it's very evident and apparent the first time when you see what the product they produce with, the leadership show, the podcast. They have very enlightening people on that show. They have very enlightening people backing them, and as they are, spreading the words of leadership. Happiness is very important to them. How can we grow without being happy? Where do we find happiness within? And that's really the message that they bring to the table.
Yeah, so check them out, guys. www.populous, spelled Populis.com.au, and then also the Leadership Show, which is, there's video on YouTube, and they've also got a lot of audio on iTunes and also SoundCloud. So check them out. Leadership Show, guys.
Yeah, Leadership Show, populist.com.au. Without further ado, we got Jake Shields. Let's rock and roll.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.
Our special guest today from San Francisco, we've got Jake Shields. Jake's an MMA legend. Across his career, he's fought obviously in the welterweight division, the World Series of Fighting. He was the last Rumble on the Rock welterweight champ, the only elite XC welterweight champ, a former Shuto welterweight champ, a former Strikeforce middleweight champ, while he's competed with the best in the UFC. We welcome Jake Shields. Welcome, Jake.
Hey man, how's it going, guys?
We are doing very well. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. We're really happy to have you on, man.
Yeah, no problem. Just got done working out. Now just ready to do this interview.
Okay, cool, man. All right, I'm going to open up with I was speaking to John Wayne Parr this morning. Now, obviously, you guys spent a couple of years ago. You spent some time working with JWP on your striking game. Now, what his question is have you been stretching?
Have I been stretching?
Yes, sir.
A little bit, but not as much as I should. I'm still pretty tight.
Because
So you got.
for the background on that, John Wayne was just telling us this morning that he thought wrestlers and obviously Brazilian jiu-jitsu people would kind of have the same sort of mobility. And was it you were just lacking a little bit of mobility through your hips? Was it, Jake?
Yeah, definitely. I don't stretch enough, so I need to loosen my hips up. Worked on it a little bit, but not as much as I should have.
I'll let him know for sure, man.
Jake, I see that for our fans listening who maybe are aware of MMA, boxing, we have a lot of fighters on. Could you talk a little bit about this upcoming Polaris No Gi event you're taking part in?
Yeah, it's I've always loved grappling. I've always been a huge fan of grappling and submission tournaments, and I had a little bit of we had a little contract issues with World Series of Fighting. I think we almost have that worked out now. But so my fight with Fitch got pushed back, so I decided to jump in and do the submission match.
Yeah, you take
and it's something I'm super excited for.
Yeah, it seems to me if you look at your past history, you're always pushing yourself to move forward, and you're always in these battles with the greats. Like you fought guys like Maya, Lawler, Hendo, Condit, Woodley. All these guys are like at the top of the game. What do you think is the catalyst? Like, did this resonate in you as a young boy? When did this drive start burning inside you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not really sure, but I just always like going, and I like going against the best. I don't like just competing against easy matches. Obviously, if it's a good payday for an easy match, I'm not going to complain because it's always nice to go out there and get paid. But I just really enjoy the competition of going against the best of the best. So whenever I compete, I always seek to find the best guys. That's why I love fighting those guys like Damian Maia and Hendo and Lawler. That's just that's what I strive to do. And same with submission matches. When I'm doing the submission matches, I always ask for the best guys. I'm not asking to get thrown against somebody easy. I'm like, who's the best guy you got? You throw against me.
Yeah. Do you go into it with in relative to like an MMA event, and then you're going to do the grappling to where you don't have to worry about the striking? Does it kind of give you that mental edge of knowing that that's one less thing you have to defend off?
Yeah, the grappling just became fun after MMA. Cause MMA is a lot of stress. I still do enjoy it, of course. I enjoy the overall, the training, all of it. But it's always stressful for the fights, leading up to it, the interviews, a couple nights before, knowing you're going to get hit, all the stuff you're doing there, you get a little bit of stress. But this is just fun. When they went and did the Metamoris and those, it's like I'm not even really nervous anymore. So it's nice to be able to go out there and just go out there and hunt for submissions and enjoy it and have fun.
Yeah,
and it's kind of cool. A lot of these tournaments have these new rules of the submission only. So I guess it's gonna force me to try to just open up and go for things. Because like you said, you can dominate positions, but it's not gonna give you a win. So I'm gonna go out there and just try to hunt for a submission and go for the new format.
Jake, I love your inner circle. Obviously, the scrap pack with you guys, the Nick and Nate Diaz. How fun is it to train with your brothers and obviously push each other each day?
Oh, it's been great. really fortunate to have such a great team, and that's we're very fortunate too, not to just be random guys that all moved train together. We kind of came up together. I mean, like Gil was my good buddy in college wrestling, and then I met Nick when he wasn't even 18 yet. Nate was probably like 15, so it's been awesome to train with these guys from such a young age and just watch us all excel together, and we're still super competitive with each other. So it's great to have guys that you can be competitive with, but are your good friends. Will always have your back, no matter what. And everyone knows Nick and Nate are some of the most loyal guys out there.
Could you talk a little bit about, like, in hindsight, looking back on that bond, that relationship you have with your guys, to maybe somebody who's listening at home could hear the importance of the people we choose to surround ourselves with, in regards to being successful?
Yeah, I mean, it's just huge having that team and that network support, and I was very fortunate, to have all these guys that was coming up together. I mean, most of these gyms are people that move together to be around great, which is, certainly, that's definitely a good idea if you don't have any other option. But we were lucky that we all came up together, made it even more special.
Jake, have you ever had to fight like a close friend?
No, I've fought guys I liked, but never a close friend, and it sucks fighting someone you like, even because it's like, you don't want to go out there. I try to make myself not like guy before I fight him. Remember before I fought like Robbie Lawler, I really liked him. I like Dan Henderson. Sometimes you like these guys, but you just got to kind of turn that off when you fight them.
Yeah,
I started trying to make myself not like the guy. I trying to talk to him when you see him. Just try to separate it. Try to be a little cold. It's tough fighting. I mean, grappling, I wouldn't be that tough, but in an actual fight, you definitely don't want to like the guy. At least I don't. Some people don't mind, but for me, I prefer to not like the guy.
Yeah, those guys you just mentioned and that we know that you've battled with, I always wonder because, the media jumps on certain guys and promotes them a certain way. Who is the hardest puncher you faced?
Man, I've faced a lot of the hardest punchers. For some reason, they always match me against the hardest hitters. Henderson dropped me, so that one put me down pretty hard. I've been hit by guys like Hector Lombard, Tyrone Woodley, I faced all those nasty punchers.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler.
So is that something that they always talk about when you get to the highest level of anything, whether it's your sport, whether it's your craft or career, that the separation between the best in the world and just the ones who are great is just like the smallest of margins? Are you able to identify, because you've beaten world champions, you were in you were brushing hairs close to beat with the GSP fight. Looking back, are you able to identify the small pieces that it takes to be a champion?
Yeah, man, it's like I said, it's just the smallest thing. Sometimes it's hard to say exactly what they are because there's so much to juggle in our sport too. It makes it really tough, trying to do the striking, the grappling, the conditioning, the nutrition. There's always so many things you're trying to juggle, so it's hard to know what you should push more of, less of, and it's that fine balance you're always trying to find in the sport.
Jake, given your victories over the likes of Henderson, Lawler, as we speak, in Condon, Meyer, Woodley, which one ranks top of your finest performance?
I mean, I've had a bunch of good performances, so it's hard to pick one. I mean, obviously, someone tapping out someone like Robbie Lawler fast is great, but it's the Hendo fight was huge because the time he was a big underdog, so that was nice to go out there and take that fight. So I guess probably that one, just because I was such a huge underdog and it was the last fight of my contract, so it was really important that I went out and won in a good fashion.
What about the when you fought GSP? Was that like a bit of a rock concert, like in the lead up, like the entire thing? Like, how'd you handle that?
That was insane. It was went up to Toronto, and that was the Sky Dome was, I think, about 6,000 people, sold out, and it was just massive. Everywhere you went, there's just billboards of me and GSP. The fans were just mobbing us. It was overwhelming. The Toronto, I just never seen it. I've been to a lot of fights, a lot of years, never seen anything close to the enthusiasm. It wasn't all sold out. Like, everyone was trying to get tickets everywhere you went. It was like the hotel the whole week. There would just be hundreds of fans waiting around. It was definitely like a rock concert. And then just the noise out there when you walk in, seeing a crowd that big. Even though I lost that night, it was amazing to be part of that experience.
Yeah, we talk a lot about finding ways to use almost negative experiences in our life as catalysts for growth. Is there one specific moment it doesn't even have to be in the cage, in your career, in your life, that's gotten to where you are right now that you look back on and you kind of use as like a tool for growth?
I mean, I can't think of one particular moment, but sometimes those losses are the ones that they suck so bad they make you not want to lose again and make you train harder and push even harder.
Definitely. What? And like, just looking at your record, you had that 15 fight win streak prior to GSP. How did you stay so consistent during that time, man?
Staying really focused, constantly training, and just a lot of desire and hungry, and just push. There's no real secret other than hard work. I guess just lots of hard work. A combination of things. Having a good team, the right team, and just being really focused and pushing.
Are you guys doing anything? I mean, if you look at your background, how you carry yourself, the Diaz brothers, it seems to me, Gil, that the mental, and I know this, and I think that the true fan knows it. The mental side is sometimes more important than your physical attributes. Do you guys focus on any type of training that? Do you talk about that, or is that just you're born with it?
No, I think it's just a combination of, we were all just tough kids growing up. The way we grew up, kind of rough areas where, you were fighting a lot. And, like Stockton, and I grew up not pretty close to Stockton as well. And, Gil, Santa Ana, there's areas where everyone just fights a lot. And it's just, you grow up and if you're not tough, you're going to get picked on and bullied. And I think, when we all started training together, we all kind of came with that mentality. We all got along right away, but it was just, we would train really hard. Even though we were good friends, we'd beat the crap out of each other. And if you weren't tough back in the room, you wouldn't make it. So I think it kind of just mentally made us tough being around each other.
Yeah, how'd you get into it, man? Like, how old were you? Like, was it somebody who took you to a gym? Was it, your pops? Who was that?
Well, I'd always, my dad took me into wrestling from a pretty young age, so I'd always wrestled, and we'd watch the fights together, which I always loved watching them, but it was never something with the old school guys, the wrestlers. So I always thought it was cool, but not something I wanted to get into. And then I was wrestling in college in San Luis Obispo, and I met Chuck Liddell. And he was kind of known in the town, but he wasn't really famous yet. I think he had a couple small UFC fights, but everyone came like, "Oh, those guys have been." Oh yeah. So like I said, I met Chuck. I saw him with all of his funny tattoos, and I was like, "Oh, I could take this guy." So went in and started training with Chuck, and obviously didn't take him. It was kind of a reality check. It woke me up, getting beat up by Chuck, and like, wow, this guy's good. So just got completely addicted from there.
Yeah, was that, you said it was the early days. Had he fought any of those fights with was it
Tito,
Ortiz? Yeah, Tito.
No, it was before he fought Tito, because he'd had one or two fights in the UFC, but he wasn't a big name.
All right.
He was actually training with Tito when I started training with him. They would train together, so it was kind of cool. I'd go. I went to some of the old training camps with Tito Ortiz and all those guys.
Awesome.
And Chuck would beat up on Tito in training, but Tito became the champ, so that's why he wanted to avoid him after that.
Yeah.
Where was Chuck's academy at? Because that's what you went to next, didn't you?
Yeah, it was San Luis Obispo. It was it's a small little town between LA and San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to college. Yeah, Chuck lived there for years. He's down in LA now, but he was in San Luis Obispo through most of his career. I think all of his career, actually.
Yeah, I moved to Long Beach in 2005, and we went up to Santa Barbara one time and saw Chuck out at these bars.
Oh yeah.
And this was 11 years ago, and he was a savage. Like he totally, he didn't just fake it in the cage. That's who he is. I don't know him personally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could see it. It resonates off a guy like that.
Yeah, no, Chuck's a badass. That's how he always carries himself. Not looking for trouble, but he's a guy you don't want to mess with.
Yeah, for
He was just known. Yeah, super cool guy though.
awesome.
Jake, between all the organisations that you fought in and all the different countries that you fought in, where did you most enjoy your fighting?
Man, it's a tough call, but Strikeforce. I really loved the Strikeforce days. I think they had a good thing going. It was they treated the fighters good. So probably Strikeforce. It was cool fighting in Japan too, just because the time it was I was so new to the sport and I'd never been out of the country, and going out and fighting in Japan was pretty amazing.
Yeah, we love to find stories like that. A lot of people, if somebody just sees a person as a fighter, their title, and that's what the average person sees them as. Could you talk to us about why, your stance on, you've done some work with PETA, the how ethical treatment of animals and things like that?
Yeah, like I said, I've been a lifelong vegetarian, so I've always I've never eaten meat, and I've always felt great this way. And it's I don't try to over push on people. I don't want to be one of the pushy vegetarians, but I'm a fan of. I always like animals. I think it's unethical the way people are going to eat meat. I just don't. I like the factory farming. I think all that's pretty terrible. So. He said, I'm not a big advocate of pushing it, but PETA contacted me, and since being a vegetarian, I did a couple ads for him and worked with him a little bit.
Yeah, did you see that? Did you check out Cowspiracy?
Yeah, I did. That was actually really interesting. It's showing how much damage the cattle industry is causing to the causing to the world.
Yeah.
Like I always try to tell people that ask me, I recommend to at least eat less meat. I think there's so many reasons to eat less meat. Don't go full vegetarian. Just cut it back. People eat it 3 or 4 times a day when maybe they should be eating it a couple times a week.
Yeah.
Being vegetarian, Jake, obviously in training at a high level, is it something that you have to use, obviously a bit more like whey protein or anything like that? Do you eat eggs? Is that how you get your protein sources?
Yeah, I do eat eggs, but not a lot. I eat beans, nuts. I've never really had a hard time getting protein. I think just my body, I'm used to being a vegetarian, so I don't crave it as much as someone that gave up meat. I know a lot of people say that go from eating meat to vegetarian. They say it's the beginning, the first months when they feel weird, then their body kind of stabilizes. They feel back to normal.
Yeah, and then just also fighting between welterweight and middleweight for most of your career, where did you feel the most comfortable?
That's a hard call. I think it's I'm small at middleweight, but it's also don't have to cut any weight, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about the duties and responsibilities of people in especially somebody of a high profile name, whether whatever industry you're in. Where does it root for you walking the path of like the guy who really never gets into trouble? You kind of have this integrity based lifestyle to you. Where does that come from?
I just try to be a good person. I guess the way I was raised, and obviously I'm far from perfect, but luckily I've never been in any big trouble and just kind of treat people good. I mean, I do go and party a little bit, but not near as much as I used to. And just I guess I've been lucky to avoid anything bad.
Yeah, Jake, you're 36 this year. Is that correct?
37. Yeah, I certainly don't feel it though. Yeah, my body feels young. I don't feel like I'm aging yet. So it's hard to say how much longer I want to fight. But as long as I still enjoy it, my body feels young. I'll continue to fight and at least compete in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Jake, obviously you're a father. You've had a lot of life experience. What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh man, I mean, I think I lived a pretty good life, so I would tell him probably do what I did.
Yeah, just keep doing
Obviously, there'd be some small changes, but I got no major regrets. I'm definitely glad that I pursued a fighting career. I had lots of people. When you try to do a crazy job like this, you'll have 99% of the people telling you you're insane and don't do it. But it's a good thing I didn't listen. A good thing I listened to the 1% and followed my dreams.
Excellent.
Jake, growing up, was there any one fight across any combat sport that really stands in your mind as something that you just loved watching over and over again?
Well, when I first started watching it, being a wrestler, I loved watching like the guys like Dan Severn and Mark Coleman and those guys. But any one fight. Now, there's been some great fights, but I don't know if there's necessarily one in particular.
Do you remember watching those Kazushi Sakuraba, Vanderlei Silva fights?
Oh yeah, I was a huge Sakuraba fan, so
Yeah.
I watched all his old fights. Those were great. I mean, my teammate Nick Diaz had some of my favorite fights when he knocked out Lawler, when he's a huge underdog there, and when he
Yeah.
smashed Gomi. Those were two of my favorite fights.
Yeah, I like what you said about the Strikeforce days because it seems to me like the pure, MMA is fairly, in America, it's new, so everyone talks about the Pride days. But I think in hindsight, as time passes, those Strikeforce days I think are maybe gonna, stand up the test of time as well with some of the talent that came out of there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so many of those guys end up doing so well too. Luke Rockhold just taking the title. I think a bunch of DC was a Strikeforce guy. I think Kane might have even fought in Strikeforce. A whole bunch of those guys.
Yeah.
Gil Melendez, Nick Diaz was there. It was Strikeforce was definitely stacked. Overeem,
Yeah,
Fedor. They had some great fighters through there.
Jake, when I say the word success, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Excess.
Success.
Oh, success. Success. I don't know. I mean, I guess Chuck Liddell just popped in my mind because he was the first guy who I was a good friend before he. So I watched him before he got really successful. When he was just kind of barely getting by as a fighter, and then just blowing up just as a big superstar and being rich. And that was pretty cool seeing him come from nothing to a huge superstar, and seeing that didn't let him get to his head. He's never he didn't change. He stayed genuine and down to earth.
Definitely. Also, obviously, there's a lot of people out there scared to break out of comfort zones. This is definitely not you. You obviously challenged yourself at different levels against different fighters. What advice would you have to people out there that are scared to break their comfort zone?
Just force yourself out and go do it. I mean, it's definitely. I think you got to challenge yourself and push yourself. It makes you grow as a person. Worst thing that happen as you fail. But it's better to, I think Theodore Roosevelt has a saying something like that. Better to try and fail than to not try at all.
Definitely. Do you look back on your career and find that if Jake Shields was never a fighter, did you ever have, like, as a younger guy, what would you have done if you never put the gloves on?
Oh man, I have no idea. Luckily, I was a fighter. I was going to college. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I was a kinesiology major, thinking maybe physical therapy or a chiropractor, but I was definitely not excited to do anything. And then all of a sudden, I found fighting, and that's just all I wanted to do. So I just started doing, so I just started hunting that dream.
Excellent.
I feel like I'm a smart enough guy where I would figure something to get into, though. As long as you got good people skills and you're creative, usually you can find a good way to make a living.
Yeah, cool. How long, like in 2016, what do you after this fight that's coming up in April, what do you think is going to be next for Jake Shields?
Probably with World Series of Fighting. We had little contract issues, but I'm probably going to re-sign with them, and either going to re-sign with them or I'll fight my last fight of my contract and then figure out from there. But if I re-sign, I'll probably be fighting for the title. If not, I'll be fighting non-title and just move on. Awesome.
And have you kind of made a plan in your head how long more you want to fight for? Do you want to fight into your 40s?
That's a tough question because I would have thought if you'd asked me a few years ago, I would say I'd probably be retired by now. So it's but I still think I got at least a couple more fights, and it's hard to say. Every fight you never really know if you want to keep doing it. Luckily I've been smart, invested, and got some other businesses going, so I'm not like desperate for the money. But it's it's still a good chunk of money, which is nice, and I still do enjoy the fighting.
Are you doing any type of the vegetarian lifestyle is very it's a tough. I mean, coming from someone who's not, it seems it takes a lot of discipline, and once you get into it, it becomes part of life. Are you doing any naturopathic healing type of things to recover your body?
No, I just try to eat a clean diet, and get good rest, and I think that's the most important thing.
Awesome. Jake, I've just got a question I ask all my guests. It's just a little bit of a personality question. You've got 5 invites to a dinner party. Jake Shields is hosting. You can't invite any of your close family or friends, dead or alive. Who are those 5 invites going out to?
You can invite anyone dead or alive?
Anyone dead or alive.
No family or friends.
Oh man, I don't know. So many interesting historic characters. Probably invite like Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Benjamin Franklin. Probably some of those old historic characters, or just invite 5 hot girls. That'd probably be a better party, actually.
Yeah, we were waiting on that. You know what Rogan said recently? He named.
What's that?
He was talking about, I think it was him and Callan, and they were going on a rant about the best-looking guys. They were talking about man crushes, and Rogan said Jake Shields, and then Callan got.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Callan got into a little debate. I think he was going with there's a couple younger guys. Joe Bond was one of them, but yeah, I thought I thought that
that's
was
good.
funny.
That's good to know. I'll take it.
I was like, this dude's not only one of the baddest guys on earth, but Joe Rogan's saying he's one of the best looking guys in the UFC.
It's a little gay, but I like Joe Rogan, so I'll take it.
Yeah. I always tell people one day we're gonna be old and gray, so you got to take it where you can get it.
Exactly, I'll take it.
Jake, can you just leave us with just a little bit of inspiration, maybe for the person out there, maybe doing a little bit tough and trying to seek a better path in life? Can you just...
Inspiration, I think it's just, you got to figure out what you want to do and just go for it. It's, it is hard work, though. I think a lot of people, fighting is obviously my field, so I know that. You get a lot of people being like, oh, I want to be a fighter, but they're not putting in the work, So if you're gonna pick a passion, especially with something unusual like fighting, you got to really dedicate yourself to it as well and put everything you got into it.
Excellent.
Otherwise, if you're not willing to do that, you might want to take the normal 9-to-5 job.
And for all of our listeners who maybe aren't too familiar with Jake Shields, could you let them know where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, Twitter is Jake Shields, AJJ, and then Facebook and Instagram, just Jake Shields.
Excellent, man. We really appreciate your time, Jake. I know you're getting ready for that fight in April, and we wish you the best of luck.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Jake. You have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Yeah, so Jake is definitely, for anyone listening at home, just Google him. He's so humble, but one of the most dangerous humans on the planet.
Definitely, and he is fought everyone. You know how
everyone.
He hasn't got a comfort zone because he fights everyone.
Yeah, it reminds me. He can't, and the thing is, he doesn't know what like an easy fight looks like. I remember that fight against GSP, and Jake was coming over from Strikeforce. He was the champion, and the UFC promoted it as like champion versus champion. And Jake was I think he was probably just turning 30, and he was I think that was his prime.
Yeah,
that's
crazy, man. Like the amount of names on his card. I think that
Lawler,
all these top 5 guys in that division.
Who's the champs right
Maia,
now?
Woodley, Lawler, Condit. That's 4 of the top 5. He's beat all of them.
And let's talk about that. So Lawler's the current champion. Lawler just beat Condit for that title.
So he's 2, I think, or 1.
Yeah. So who's fighting in a month is Matt Brown versus Damian Maia, who he
4
beat.
and 5, I think it
Yeah,
is.
and then
Woodley's 3.
And then Woodley is probably going to get the winner. If Lawler doesn't rematch Condit, it's probably going to go to Woodley. And guess what? Jake beat him too.
I still can't believe he dropped him out.
See,
I was reading a few things.
Is that what
saying
happened?
That he wasn't going to be making any more of an impact on the UFC, etc., etc. That came out of Dana's mouth in an official kind of statement.
Yeah, the more we dig and the more we
sure?
talk to people, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking there had to be more. There definitely had to be more. It was around the time with the Diaz brothers. There was some drama happening there with some legal issues, but Jake is a very like loyal friend. You could tell that his bonds mean everything to him, and he doesn't mix his words. He's very he only knows one way. These guys and girls that we talk to who are, whether they're fighters or just they found success through persevering, because that's what this is. Jake Shields wasn't born a champion.
Yeah.
He was born just like you, me, the next person. He became a champion through perseverance. So his personality type is to not fall in line.
You know how we're talking about Inner Circle, and obviously he spoke about the bond that he's got with both Diaz brothers. Like, I know the bond that I've got with my friends. How do you find, for you personally, this is my question from me to you,
Yeah.
being away from your boys in America?
Yeah. So I think, first off, I'm really fortunate that social media and technology has evolved for the times, because just before I got on the air today, I was talking, we have a group chat, excuse me, Banks, Eddie, Andre, what's up, guys? Matt's actually coming out here in April. We always chat via Facebook Messenger. I Skyped Andre last night on the way home from the office, and it's one of those things that we've been friends since we were 13, and they're my brothers. And I moved away. We all went away after high school to separate colleges and never moved back to our hometown. And our hometown is one of these towns you either leave or you stay. And we all chose to leave. And it's one of the, if the bonds are strong enough, and this is with anyone, if they're strong enough, you'll find the reason to stay in someone's life.
Yeah.
It's like that old saying, if you love something, let it go and it'll come back. That doesn't have to mean intimate, lover or partner. That has to do with a lot of different levels. And it's, at one time I thought I had 50 friends. At one time through sports and teammates, I thought I had 100 friends.
Would you agree that, for me, I found that in my early 30s, I found out who my true friends were?
So you're saying that happened to you in your early 30s?
Yeah.
I think that's awesome of awareness from you, of even being able to see that, because some people struggle with that their whole life.
Yeah.
And they
But
put...
like you just said, I don't need 50, I don't need 100
Oh,
friends.
I have 3 or 4 friends.
Like, I've probably got a core group, and obviously extended, I'm very close to a lot of my friends' partners as well.
Yeah.
Like, I like getting to know everyone.
Yeah, I just
talking
noticed
to
that about you. I think also when you're looking, if you're trying to dissect a friendship, and this is for our listeners at home, make a list with these people that we're calling each other friends and see, does this person hold me accountable? Does this person have my best interests at heart? Will this person, can I be myself around this person? Do I have to put up a fake facade so I feel accepted?
Yeah.
Or does this person know me better than I know myself? And I could, dude, my buddies and I, when we were 18, and I remember going to my buddy Matt's house after getting in a fight with my parents and crying, like, on his porch, and like on his shoulder, and those are the relationships and bonds we built. And I feel that's really important too, is like, if you're looking for good relationships, you have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. And I'm no expert. I'm not an expert at anything.
I think I love my people because I always got them back and they got my back. That's a big thing for me. But
I love seeing your photos you post, and I could tell when I was just getting to know you that you were a good friend, because you could see it in these group photos. It's you and a core group of your friends, and everyone's smiling. There's no prison
We
photo
always
going down.
great
You know what I
times
mean?
together, so-
Like that jail pose.
The boys are coming over today, so a big shout out, Ax. I'll give a shout out to Andy. And I'll see who actually listens to this now.
Yeah.
Andy, Adam, We've got Ryan, we've got Justin, Dave, Curtis, Bobby. All the boys are coming over today. So
Yes,
I'll ask you in a couple of weeks who's been listening.
Yeah, since we're giving shouts, these aren't towards my friends, but in the last recent episodes, I've been putting some asking for help on my social media sites, and these are some of the names that have kind of put some input on some questioning for our guests. So I'm going to give a shout out to Sam Drake, Graham, my mom, Nick Hollick, Gary, Max, Marianne, Sam Wilson, and Tom. Some of those guys work with me, some don't, some are my clients, and one's my mom.
Your mom's our biggest fan.
Oh man, my mom! I have her tatted on my chest, man. My mom is my biggest inspiration. I haven't talked about her in a while on the show, but you see, I get my drive from her, like willingness to overcome adversity. She's been through so much.
Yeah.
And the older we get, we're gonna go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that we will speak to your mother on this
Rosie,
show.
yeah, she
Remember,
just got
I
her passport.
I think Mother's Day might be coming up. Remember I suggested a little Mother's
yeah.
Day special with our mums?
You
Because
know-
they've both been through a lot in their work lifetime. I think they'll
So
sell the crowds a little bit. They'll educate.
yeah, so my second mom, like you have a best friend. They're coming out here first week of April. Matt Banks and Dee. And she is an infectious disease doctor.
Like first time in Australia.
Yeah, I don't want to put word. I'm pretty sure. And we grew up a house next to each other, and they're very intelligent, affluential, kind-hearted, amazing humans. So, for one, Dee is a doctor. Matthew, his position is, I don't know if I can even talk about this. There's few government officials on the eastern seaboard to protect that, and he's one of them.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he's
Protects the country, the
He's
man.
a JAG. Yeah, he's a I don't know what that jurisdiction. It's a JAG military attorney.
Well, that's good. They've come
Yeah.
all the way out here. They must really think something special. of
It's
you.
Australia. Though. Oh, they're not coming for me. For hell no. I just live here.
an excuse for
it's
that.
Australia.
Gives them
Yeah.
an excuse.
I'd like to think it was because of me, but I guess it does give them an excuse. But no, man, I'm nothing. They're probably not even going to see me when they get here.
Sure they will, man.
So Jake, man, so he's doing this no-gi tournament, and if you guys are listening at home, Emmett, like the sport isn't the UFC. The UFC is just a banner. It would be calling like the sport of basketball. Do you play NBA? No, you play basketball. So the guys who fight in the UFC, they do MMA, mixed martial arts, and MMA is a breakdown of all fighting disciplines: boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, karate, whatever it may be. Now, what Jake also does. This is while he was a champion in other brands like Strikeforce, World Series of Fighting, is that a lot of these guys will enter just grappling tournaments to kind of stay sharp. Some people are like, that's crazy because it's, risk of injury, but he's just wired that way.
Yeah.
So April 2nd, I think in the United Kingdom, there is the Polaris no-gi tournament, and he's fighting a guy named AJ Agazaram
That's
for the
great.
championship. Yeah, he's never
That
even.
could be another belt for the man.
And I think that's what drives him. Just listening to him chat with us. He didn't mix any words. That doesn't mean he's just straightforward. He's just shooting darts, and that's how he lives his life: straightforward and never looking back.
But I still can't believe the names that he's fought on his resume. He would have to go down as at the moment. He'll be Hall of Fame. There's a Hall of Fame, is there?
100. Yeah, there's a Hall of Fame. 100%.
He would have to be.
100%. Jake Shields was a Hall of Famer before I think he came to the UFC because he came to the UFC kind of late.
Yeah.
He was the pinnacle of that Strikeforce banner, and he was just cleaning guys up.
Well, he was just talking
Dan
about
Henderson is
he
a
didn't
legend.
even do striking until he met Chuck Liddell. And
Is that when he started striking? Dude, Dan Henderson though is a legend.
Yeah.
Like Hendo, the H bone.
All of them are.
Yeah, they all are. But they all. I remember Dan Henderson's I think 103 years old, and he's still fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lawler is a murderer. He's my favorite
See
fighter.
what? Obviously, Henderson's out of UFC now as well.
Yeah, did he finally retire?
No, didn't he go to?
No, that's Benson Henderson. Yeah, this is Dan Henderson. This is
I
a
think
legend.
He still might be around.
Yeah, Hendo's
He's
still there.
he's
He's
still
fighting.
somewhere.
Hendo, I think, is fighting in an upcoming card. Yeah, but
Imagine another little rematch.
yeah, Condit too. Lawler, dude, all these guys are killers, and to him be a vegetarian his whole life, that's shocking. I've heard stories of people who are
Have
vegetarians.
you ever tried it?
No, but I'm not a big meat eater. Like,
I might try it for a week. I've been promising my sister I'll try it for a week.
yeah, meat's not something that's important in my diet. If it's there, I'll have chicken and a salad, but it's like I don't eat it every meal.
Yeah, I'm a big meat man.
Yeah, it's when you look at once again, I'm no expert. I read a lot though, but in terms of cholesterol levels, and if you just eat meat every day with every meal, and you live a sedentary lifestyle, it just can't be good for your digestive system. It can't. I just feel when I eat meat, I'm just a little more lethargic. The food takes a little longer to digest.
Yeah.
I feel a little slower.
I usually do it at night if I have meat because then it helps me sleep a little bit better. And you're right about digestion. It does take a while to digest. That's the big issue about actually eating it during the day, and why I would kind of avoid doing that for sure.
Yeah, guys, check out that documentary too. Jake and I touched base on. It's called Cowspiracy. This was done by two gentlemen, and if you like documentaries, I mean, it's probably a good thing, but it'll piss you off a little bit because it touches base on global warming and what the media is portraying to be causing global warming with like emissions from cars and factories and plants and all that stuff. And that stuff factors in, but they paint the picture of like if global warming and all the issues with the environment was like a big bubble, all the car emissions, factory stuff is only 5% of that.
Yep.
The other
Yeah, you were saying that to me
95%,
yesterday.
the other 95% of that is done through livestock farming practices.
Yeah.
Whether it's the water waste through all the animals, and then what happens is these cattle produce a methane in their in their waste, and it goes into the soil and it leaks into the air. And then what's happening in the Amazon? What's feeding those cows are these soy, and they're planting this stuff in the Amazon just to feed the cows, just to feed the humans. And it's like then they go to PETA and they go to Greenpeace, and nobody wants to talk about it. It'll just frustrate you. Yeah, but it'll enlighten you and kind of. I like learning things, so it's one of those things too. You get just to pass knowledge on. It's good to see other people are listening too.
Definitely, guys, check it out. So what was the YouTube and
I
search?
watched it on Netflix. COW is in Cal,
Yep.
and then Spiracy, SPIRACY.
Cool, check it out.
Check it out, man. Then we'll have a chat about it. The Scrap Pack, Nick and Nate Diaz and Jake. Could you imagine running them into a bar
Oh,
in a
Jesus.
nightclub? We didn't even talk about Jake's last fight. He's fighting in the cage, and he glances over his shoulder and he says, "Nick and Nate Diaz in a brawl in the crowd." Is that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Jake ended up getting some community service out of it too.
What?
For some reason.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Was that the Paul Harris fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Those
That's
guys are
pretty
just
crazy.
cool, man. So what are you up to the
Cool.
rest of the week?
Rest of the week, like I said, I've got the boys coming over
Oh, no.
this afternoon. Nothing too big. I think we've got we play NRL Fantasy League.
Oh my God, that's
So it's a
very.
little bit competitive,
Yeah, I
actually.
bet.
It
You
gets
don't-
competitive.
You don't like losing.
No way.
Julius gonna be there?
No, Julius not.
No,
gonna be
John. Cool.
way.
Shout out, Double J.
there. All right, we better wrap this up.
Yeah,
I've
buddy.
gotta go.
Yep.
You have a great week.
You too, Tristan, man. Thanks for the time.
All right, man.
Rock and roll.
Peace.
Peace.
It makes me wanna creep.
I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul. I got something for your mind, your body, and your soul.
The Vision Board Podcast, hosted by Johnny Stofko and Tristan Cannell.